In this tutorial we will have a look at how we can create curves and fillets using the Freeform Construction View tool commands. Some of the things we'll learn are how to make a curved line using the drag method and with the precision input dialog, how to fillet a corner point, how to make an arc tangent to the edge lines, how to fillet with 2 arcs, adjust a 2-arc corner, add a machine step hole, and how to round off machine step corners. There is much to learn in this lesson, so let's get started.
Okay, so we're going to look at making some arcs here, and so to start off I'm in my I've opened up this file and I'm in the construction view. So first off I'm going to set myself to snap to the grid. So my grid's set up here and I've already got a flap. And so what I want to do is I want to make a tab up here, circular tab. So I'm going to click on this point here, and then I'm going to do right click, and I'm going to do A for point after. And let's see, I'm going to come in here to this point here. And what I'm doing right now is I'm making a baseline for my tab that I want to create. So I'm going to click on right click to finish my points, and so now I have a baseline between these 2 points, and I'm going to right click on it, at line, curve line. And so when I do this, I can drag up or drag down. If I drag up, it's going to give me a tab that is added onto the flap. If I drag down, it's going to cut out. If I drag up like this and we go look at it in 3D, turn it up, now we have a tab on our flap. And so we go back to construction view, and I can go to this line again, and at line, curve, and I can change this. So I'll pull it down inside, and when I do that, we can look at it again in 3D and see that it's cut out. So you can go both ways with that, and one will add and one will subtract. Now, like I said, we can only go half the distance of the baseline. That's our radius, and that's the max that we can go as far as pulling out. But I'll show you how you can do a slot that's a little bit deeper here in a minute. But what we're going to look at right now is we're going to go to this corner here, and we're going to add a fillet. And so I've clicked on the corner point, and I'm going to go right click and at point, and I'm going to add a fillet. Now I can drag this fillet out with my mouse, and when I place it, that will be where it's placed. I can't go back and adjust that now. If I go back and right click on the line and go at line curve, then it's gonna do something a little different than what I want to do. It's not gonna get exactly back to that. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to go down to my undo button, and I'll just undo this, and let's undo that corner, because what I want to do is I want to right click at point, and I'm going to do the fillet again, and then I'm going to press on the period key to bring up my precision input window, and I'm going to set this for 30 millimeters, and when I click OK, now I have an exact amount, and that 30 millimeters is from the corner point to this anchor point here for one side of my fillet. Now I can go over to this corner and use my Control R to add that fillet to this side over here. Now we have the same. And if I go and if I decided that I was going to change that arc, if I went back to this line, and if I was to say curve line and then hit the period key, what I can do is I can click on my tangent to previous, and it puts my arc back in, and tangent to next. Now you notice that they both do the same thing here, and that's because what we see here is that the points are the same distance from the corner, so they will be tangent on both lines. So I'll click OK here, and my arc here is tangent to this line and it's tangent to this line. So I'm going to do the right click and hit my G key so that I can drag it. If I was to drag it along this line here, and say I stopped right here, you'll notice that it's no longer tangent to this point here. So if I was to go at line right now and go to curve line, what I can do is hit my period to go to my precision input, and so I can go tangent to next, and now I'm tangent to this line, or I could go tangent to previous, and now I'm tangent to this line. So one thing you want to note here is that wherever the bullseye is, that is the previous point, and then the arrow points to the next point. So by doing it this way, because the two sides are not the same distance from the corner, I can't get tangent to both lines, at least not this way. So what I can do is I can right click on the point. I want to go to outline, and then I want to go fillet with two arcs. And when I do that, what you're going to see is that it has made it tangent to both lines. It's also tangent to the center point. So if I was to grab this point here, right click and hit the G key to drag it, and let's say I drag it down to here, you'll notice that now it's not tangent to the two edge lines and the center point that it's connected to. So not to worry, we can fix this up. And so what we do here is we go to the center point and right click on it, and at point we want to adjust the arc to two corners. And so by clicking on that, we can bring it back into a nice smooth arc that's tangent on both ends. Now another thing that I want to show you is I'll go in here and I'm going to add a machine step, and I'm going to make a hole. And so if I create these lines and connect them, now I have a hole. You'll notice that the color here is just a little bit darker, meaning that it is a hole. So I'm going to click on 3D and we can see that hole in there. Back to construction view. Now the light blue, this is just outlining the section itself. It just makes it easier to select the section, but it really doesn't do anything. It's not really the shape, it's just the starting section. The shape is this lighter or darker greenish blue, and then the hole is completely darker. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go to my machine step by clicking on one point, and at machine step I want to use round off the machine step corners, and when I do that I'll create a nice perfectly round hole. We'll take a look at that. You can see that we can see through that, and if I move it you can see that the hole's all the way through. So I'll go back to construction view, and I will undo that by going to my my undo button, and this time I'm going to make this into a rectangle instead of a square. So I'll go right click and G so I can drag this point, and I'll just drag it over here. Now what I can do on this point is I can use the Control R to just repeat that command, and again I'll go to at machine step and round off the corners, and now I have an ellipse, and we can take a look at that in 3D. Nice hole there. And finally, the last thing I want to show you with this is that I said we could make a kind of a longer slot with a radius on it. And so what I'll do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to add a machine step again, and I'm going to add a hole. So I'm going to just click here, come over and create a machine step that's kind of rectangle, and then I'm going to go to this edge here, and at line I'll curve this line and I'll drag it out, and you can see that I've got a semicircle here on the end of this rectangle. And if we go to 3D, now we got a nice slot in there that's with the curved edge on it. If we go into 2D, you can see what this looks like for the DXF cutout, and it's got some really nice curves all the way around, so it would really cut out nicely. And that does it for this tutorial, and that shows you what you can do with the different tools that we can make curves with. Thank you.